The cold of winter was far more bitter on the ship than on land. From my home, I had already travelled far to come to this place, the last stop of my journey, with so many questions that weighed on my mind. I did not see the isle ahead until the boat thudded at the dock. Delos, just as I had read, heard stories of, legends began here. It did not feel real, but as I looked up, there it was. Upon the horizon, up the hill, my eyes followed the road up and up, all the way to the lights of the shrine of Apollo. Mesmerized, I walked ahead, set on my journey. A pilgrimage for answers had led me here. So many ships and tents and forests and plains, never ending. The walk up the hill was quick in comparison to that. Though the soils were rocky, I could see the plants and flowers that grew in the hard earths here. I could imagine the summers and springs that are blooming with life, but in the winter, it is stark. The empty and barren lands are taken over by houses. Beautiful stone buildings with care in their structures. Then came the theatres for plays and stowers, great halls for philosophers. All great minds are welcomed here. Even the farmlands before had impressive hydraulic systems. As I walked, the cold winter sunset lit the way ahead, and the buildings reflected the light. Nearing the top of the hill, I could see there were 3 great halls that seemed to glow. The temples. The crowds did not thin around me, but walked with me, up to the top of the hill. Though I have worshipped Apollo my whole life, and I have seen so many sanctuaries and shrines, there were none like this. Delos was a popular pilgrimage. Legends tell of the birth of the twins, Apollo and Artemis, happened right here. Only now do I see why it is so revered. The heart of this sacred isle is home to the biggest and most resplendent shrine of all. 3 large buildings make up the center. Largest of all is the great temple of the Delians. Next, I see the temple of the Athenians, with 7 statues of lions. They stood proudly in a row before the entrance. But I headed to the Poros temple, the oldest of them all. As I walked through the columns, I gasped. My grandfather's writings could never have prepared me for this place. The temple was immense. I felt the space, and with each step was reminded. Tales of old, the god Apollo supposedly lay the foundation, the stones that became where I stood now. He alone had foreseen this place on an empty isle and made it. I was hesitant to walk on the polished stones, though I knew hundreds, thousands even, had already done so. In awe, I took it all in. My pack, though heavy on my back, was a weight holding me to the earth. I was thankful for it, for I felt like floating as I looked up and up and up. Fires were everywhere, light filled the whole place. Lit incense wafted with the smells of cypress and frankincense. Dried bunches of lilies of the valley, hyacinth flower and sunflowers were scattered on altars all around. I stopped in the center, and there it stood. Apollo, in all his grandeur, handsome and boyish, hair circled by a golden headband on his head. His hands are held open. In his left hand he holds a bow, and in the right, the muses themselves stand tall. A lyre hangs on his belt. The fires that lit him cast shadows to emphasize his strength and power even further. His altar was full, even now. Cooked goat and pork, wine, honeyed cakes and figs, all were still present, even in winter. His sacrifice has never been small. Small trinkets and candles lay closest to the statue, right by his feet. I just stood and felt the crowds as they shifted and flowed, all whispering in voices. Lyres and flutes softly filled the halls with noise, enough to cover their whispered prayers and calls to him. The music took me, and I stood for hours. The priestesses and attendants of the temple filtered out slowly. The crowd and pilgrims by my side joined them. The hours grew later, and strumming bounced off the marble columns. My fingers longed for my own instrument, as in my head a melody conjured to match. In my mind, I was playing a duet with the strangers across the crowd. But I did not. I could not let myself be so distracted. I rustled through my pack, and the writings of my grandfather filled my hands. Old torn parchment pages, and I studied them again. His notes and research on the gods. I found the pages on Apollo and stashed the rest. I read over and over again, though I knew it by heart. I still am unsure if I really believed it would work. Still, I read it and waited for the time. When all had left and I had walked the polished stone alone, the moon was high in the sky, and Apollo would be at rest. I took out my tools, my implements, and all I had brought in offering. The salted meats and dried flowers, poems of love and sorrow scrawled from my very heart. I burnt them all and said the words. The smoke rose and I added the last offering. I took out my lute and strummed a tune. It is said that in the barren of winter Apollo cannot be found, for he leaves the winter behind in favour of Hyperborea. There, in the land of eternal spring, he resides. North, where flowers always bloom, and the spring breezes are never cold. A land of legend and stories I have only heard and never seen. Though some mortals claim to have met Hyperboreans, I strummed my tune and imagined him there. Then, I began my song. It started well, but then I came to the bars that always caused me issue. For I get stuck and cannot find the notes. I lose the melody, the beat leaves me, and I cannot think of what to come next. It has haunted my mind and is utterly unfinished. I sighed again, but then a far-off wolf gave a lonesome howl. A crow flew above my head to perch on the statue of Apollo, and a great burst of golden light appeared. Suspended in the air, the light resembled a crack in a wall. It sparked, glowed, and then extended downwards. Then it grew in width. As it opened, a beam of pure light shot out. It was not enough to burn, but I felt warmth on my skin. The sunlight was so bright I could not see beyond. But it did not hurt. It just dazzled me. And my body reacted on instinct and covered my face with an arm. But then the bright light dimmed, as a shadowed figure emerged from the beam. Gentle musical voices laughed behind the figure. The place beyond emanated the smell of fresh flowers in bloom. But then it was gone, dimmed and faded in an instant. I dared to look at the stranger left before me. A glow like a halo of light around his golden hair shone. Apollo, radiant. Phobos. In my days I could not tell if his skin emanated sunlight or if it was the flames that shone upon him. The bright light still left marks on my vision with every blink. His robes clung to his body and revealed the athletic muscles beneath. He looked so young, beardless, and not a mark on his skin at all. But there was something in the way he carried himself, the assurance and confidence that only an older man would have. He stood tall. He had a headband disguised under his curls. His bow and quiver were on his back, and an empty cup held in his hand, loosely. I gasped and knelt before him. My words tumbled out, jumbled a little together, but it was the prayers to Apollo I had memorized. The prayers from the scraps of Aithon's work. The ritual had worked. I could not truly believe it. But Apollo said to me,
"Ah, Eunice, do not stoop so low. I remember, I know you. I remember your voice, have heard and added in your craft. Your music has a sweetness that adds to our world. Inspiration is what you seek. You may stand and speak, young musician. I mean you no harm."
You know me. You know my name. I have followed you and prayed to you my whole life. I never thought that you would really know who I am. Oh, great God! Apollo, I thank you for your gifts, but I do not come for inspiration today. I come for answers.
If I can give you those answers that you seek, what could you offer me?
A song, my lord. I've begun a great ballad in your honour, you see. All I ask is the answer to one question that lingers in my mind. Apollo smiled then, and with a chuckle he said,
I am the god of music and inspiration. I have the choir of the muses at my command, and I allow the musicians of this world to play their finest works. I know of this ballad, O Eunice. You do not tell the entire truth. Tell me, mortal, is that work finished?
Not yet, my lord.
So, you come to ask for answers and inspiration? This is no offering at all, for I would have to inspire you into finishing the song before you can offer it at all. That is no bargain. Bring me more wine from that altar, Eunice, and pour me another cup.
I rushed to the altar and picked up a large amphora of wine. As I filled his cup, I stammered out, My lord, I meant no offence, and I thought the ballad would bring you renown, joy. A song that is in praise of you and your many aspects. The variety of power and influence that you have should be praised by all. You are the sun and light, but also god of music. Prophecies and oracles are granted by your hand. Archery and poetry, reason, law, order and beauty too, healing and protection, a shepherd of flocks, purifier and protector of the young. So many people know only few aspects about you. They should know all that you encompass, my lord. Founder of cities and civilizations, you inspire, you are hope and light. I wish to make this a joyful tale of all of your best and brightest deeds. Not that you need it, I know, my lord. I wish to bring the people hope and praise, that praising you might bring them a light. And yes, selfishly I admit, I long to know something for myself.
Bold words from one so young, yet they remind me of someone, an old scholar and historian from decades ago. Aithon.
Apollo's eyes did not leave me as he saw me gasp. He inspected every reaction I had. I dropped his gaze, but he continued.
You and he are much alike, but you are sweet. I know what you seek, what you wish to know. You want to know what happened to the old man, but that's boring, and not the right question. You want to know why. What happened to the honey-tongued man was that he died. But how and why? That is the real question, girl. Always ask the right questions. He did not. You brought me wine. That is payment enough for that information. As for your bargain, I should like an epic for my endeavors, but I need to hear it first. How should I know the bargain is a fair trade without accessing its worth? Pour me another glass. Winters can be so dull. Hyperborea, though always spring and eternally warm, is not as fun as here. My cities, my people, and the responsibilities pile up. The sun must always rise tomorrow, though. Tell me, what is your version of my life? There is none better than a pretty bard to tell it. Eunice, where does your story begin?
Stunned, I just stood there and let the god think aloud. When he stopped, he looked at me in the quiet. I came back to my body and then rustled around my pack. The smell of flowers had long gone, but a warmth radiated from the god. It felt like he was a bonfire of himself, but pleasantly warm. I brought out my parchments, a mix and mess of my own scribbles, and the neat work of Aithon. His parchments were old and aged, coloured with the years, so stark against my fresh ones. I brought my lyre up, but my fingers froze in fear. No matter how hard I tried, I could not will myself to play for the god of music. So I began to speak instead. We begin here, my lord, as I point to my parchments, on the Isle of Delos. For you, conceived of the great god Zeus and the goddess Leto, were born here. Python, a great beast, pursued your mother to this isle, where she received refuge, and, in your birth and sudden growth, you chased the creature to Delphi.
Yes, my first hunt. Python was monstrous, enormous and quick, powerful jaws, and so swift in the water. Artemis and I designed the bow, but she gave me the first iteration. I took that and many spears, and left them on Delos. I sought him out alone, followed trails and tracks to the mountains of Parnassus. There at the shrine it guarded the oracle and the sacred stone, Omphalos. The beast weaved through caves across the mountainside. It took time to learn its movements and retort his tricks. When I set a trap for him, he fell into my clutches. Arrows in between the scales of his armor, even with blinded eyes, he was a worthy foe. But I bested the beast alone, weaved about his pierced body and sunk my spear into his skull at last. I took protecting the oracle into my power. I still whisper prophecies to the oracle all these years later.
The first instance as a protector and shepherd, you claimed the oracle and the power of prophecy, took the role as the voice of it all. It is said you returned to Delos for a time, that you lived here with your mother and sister.
I remember it fondly. Our trio, Leto, Artemis, and I. We tended to our mother as her birthing took so much out of her, as well as exploring the island, for flowers bloomed that were not there before. I would protect them, raise and tend the goats and sheep, hunt with Artemis in the wilds. In the evenings, we would gather by a campfire, and I would tell stories. sing songs. It was in the night that my head was filled with visions and strange prophecies, flickers of fortunes that had yet to come to pass. The island was all for a time, all we had known. It was one night that I saw this place. Flashes of columns and polished marble, great statues and fires. But what fascinated me were the people. I saw crowds of people gathered in these halls, full of hope and prayers. Leto, my mother, had promised to the isle that I would make my greatest shrine there. She was not wrong. The next day, I took a goat horn from the previous hunt, came to this spot, and dug through the rock. It took weeks, but I did not let that promise down. And it is still full to this day. The splendor of the temple has been recorded countless times, but my love has been the people that come to it. That is what makes it sacred, that so many people can share in it together, that music and art are found in every corner. Make note of this in your song, Eunice.
Of course, my lord. Very insightful. A message that should be spread to others. Legend states that you laid the stone foundation for this temple yourself. Is that true, my lord? It would make a fantastic addition to the song. You really foresaw all of this? Even this moment?
Prophecy works in strange ways, and I cannot see all. But yes, I saw this place. And the stones I found myself were done by my own hand. Phoebe, mother of my mother, the titaness of prophecy and radiance, she and her sister Themis came to me on that isle. As Artemis enjoyed the wilds, the animals and plants that bloomed here on our birth, whilst I dug rock and built foundations. My grandmother and grand-aunt would sit and talk to me. Phoebe spoke of prophecy, taught me much in the godly ways of it, how to channel it, tune it out, direct its ebb and flow, and listen to the signs myself. My grand-aunt discussed justice and laws of her domain, the order that can be bought and easily twisted to chaos. It was quite the education, and made the building breeze by. But time passed, and my place was never here. My Olympian duties came quickly. Father presented us both to the court, welcomed to the family as equals. The chariot of Helios, the sun, in golden splendor was presented to me. A golden bow, a matched headband. Oh, the crowds were a wonder, and so many new faces.
After the death of Typhon and your introduction to Olympus, Zeus and the many crowds of gods, Artemis and yourself sought justice and punished those that scorned your mother, Leto, all who turned her away on earth. You both took punishment into your own hands. But after that you took the reins of the sun chariot. Helios stepped back. Now you ride the sun chariot across the skies every day. With the creation of man, you were one of the gods that had more contact with the mortals. You founded cities and civilizations.
Apollonia, of course, and Cyrene. I fell in love with a woman of the same name, and thus we named the city after her. Ah, legal legislation, order and justice, inspired by my aunt and her power. I brought these gifts to the mortals, helped them shape the cities to come, and it has brought peace and protection to many.
Awe-inspiring. Truly, some say that you have even spent time serving mortal kings. Admetus is one I have read in Aithon's notes.
Thorough old goat, wasn't he? Yes, I have served mortal kings. Admetus is a long tale, Laomedon even longer. Make mention of them, but they do deserve their own songs to capture the tales fully. I am hurt that you have barely mentioned my own musical prowess. It should be brought up sooner, do you not think?
But of course, my lord, you are the leader of the Muses, holder of the lyre and player of the ulos. None play better than you, proven by the satyr you beat easily, of course.
My son was famed for his music. I passed my powers unto him, and when mixed with a muse, he surpassed all humans before him, and I doubt any will match him thereafter. He played the lyre and sang. So beautiful. The underworld all stopped to hear it. Mortals believe he is the son of the local monarch, but he is mine. Orpheus was his name. The Muses and I make the most beautiful song, but he could almost match them. Oh, how the mortals love the inspiration to share tales and emotions, music, dance, art. It is all a way to share in life itself. All pleasures and pains can be translated, harnessed into beauty. Beyond language, to the hearts and souls of men, we give the world beauty, but also we give the mortals the eyes to see it everywhere. The perspective to turn to the world and see the beauty therein. Your legends and heroes, wins and losses, they are remembered in song and dance, poetry and theatre. It is everything.
Orpheus, the great bard himself. Of course he is your son. We all assume his power comes from the Muses. But the potency of his art, it all makes more sense now. Orpheus is not the only famous son you have. The great healer Asclepius. Legend tells of his power over medicine, that he even brought back mortals from the dead. He is famed for his deeds.
Asclepius, so kind. He could not stand the suffering in the world, but he broke the rules. The order of nature and the universe. I see now that Zeus had no choice. But I still cannot forgive nor forget my rage when I lost my son to my father. It was so much. I hunted down the Cyclopes. Though even they were innocent, they paid the price. For their hands forged the lightning bolt that took him from this life. And it was all I could do for him. I could not bring him back. But the people worship him. A god of medicine in death. Do not forget my son. More in this world should remember him. His name should be heard and told. I do not wish to be the last to remember him.
I will dedicate a verse entirely to Asclepius. More should know of all of his good deeds, my lord. It is so hard to lose family. I shall do my very best to dedicate time to mention each child. Astraeus, Ialmus, Linus, just some of your many sons, and Parthenos, your daughter.
I have seen your notes and find your verses in them eloquent. Though we come to the crux of the issue you face, the block of your inspiration, no more verses left. Though you mention my children, you do not mention my loves, their mothers, Why?
With my ballad laid out plain, and the amendments gratefully received. I do not mean to be too forward, my lord, but I must ask, what happened to Aithon, the grandfather I never knew? Why did he die?
You answer a question with a question. Cheeky indeed. I like it. You have entertained me, and I admire some of your written work, so I shall indulge your request. Aithon came to me, sought my stories, but only for himself. You come to praise me. He came to take. You wish for no renown of your own, and you do not seek fame nor fortune from my words. You came with pure intent. He wrote stories he should not have, embellished and lied, spun tales from truth, all for his name to live on. And you have come with a tribute to me, no sign of narcissism in your heart. He tried his sticky sweet words with me, but I saw straight through him. I sent him as a messenger to my sister. She did not fall for his flattery and fake humble attitude. He was meant to tell her of Orion, the hunter, the constellation of the night skies. Yes, I make no denial of the trick to kill him. But it was out of concern for her and her huntresses, for they did not know the cause of his outcasting. He hurt a girl in his home. The king of the land was hesitant to marry his daughters to him. She did not take to Orion, so he broke down the door and took what he wanted. I could not allow that man, however remorseful and meek his mask was, to stay with my sister. I could not trust he would not snap. His affection for her was plain, and she never wanted any coupling of any sort. What kind of a brother would I be if I did not protect her? Aithon was sent to die, for his selfish reasoning and as a messenger to my sister. 2 birds and 1 stone. He died to her arrows, as the prideful, conniving weasel deserved. To think he would spread our words, twisted for his own gain. Now you know of the fate your ancestor received. Tell me, Eunice, why make no mention of my lovers?
I wish to make this song full of joy, but...
Speak up, Eunice. You have nothing to fear.
Pardon, my lord, but I am afraid. I do not wish to offend you.
I swear no harm will come to you. Tell me the truth. I cannot stand a lie from such a sweet voice.
Yes, my lord. I had tried to write of love, of your many lovers, but the melody fails. The melody falls from me. The happy tune and any lyrics I try, they do not match. It sounds disjointed and disconnected. It does not fit the rest of the events. Your loves oft end in tragedy. They do not fit in this piece.
Tragedy? Explain yourself.
Made for the happiness. Made with a happy tune. The notes are all in major, but every lyric comes out in minor. They do not mesh. Through no fault of your own, my lord. Of course, the god of love, Eros, is surely to blame. Those that have turned and run from you, it is because he willed it. He has shot you with arrows to make you fall for unworthy mortals. Goddesses and nymphs that reject your affections, I assume, are because Eros did not shoot when he should have." Through every word his eyes grow darker. No longer did he have a light air and smile. No, he was angry. The heat that emanated from his skin grew unbearable to stand close to. I backed away but continued. "Daphne and Hyacinthus, Saparisus and Coronis. The pattern is quite plain. I mean no harm, but have you not thought of the cause? Your tragic love affairs, they must be due to the love god and his arrows." The cup in his hand cracked, but he placed it down on the altar beside him, gently. I dropped my gaze. "Forgive me, my lord. I am young and know not what I say. I am sorry." White filled my vision. He burst into golden light. It grew brighter and brighter, crackled and flickered about the place. I braced myself, knelt down, prepared for fire to kill me dead. I bowed down, pressing my hands against the stone. The light became blinding, even with my eyes screwed shut. Then, everything went dark. But I was still on the floor, still holding the stone, my heart beating out of its chest. I slowly opened my eyes and looked up. The hall was the same. The great god Apollo was gone.
I walked to my chariot with a fury stoked by the mortal. She was right. So many of my loves had been taken or stolen from me, and I have a right to know why. Eros, the son of Aphrodite and god of love. His bow and arrows have scorned me for the last time. I took the reins of my golden chariot, and the white horses took off. We raced through the skies until we came to his abode in the woods. A large house with ornate designs, as the chariot skittered to a halt. I leapt from the back, stormed to the doors, and blew them open. They recoiled off the walls, chunks of rock crashed to the floor. The gasps of his unseen servants filled my ears, but they said not a word. Blinded by the light that shone from my face, burned hot with my anger. "Where is your master?" Hushed voices all called out, "The study, my lord." I marched to it, and blew those doors open too. Eros sat on the edge of the balcony, a cup in hand. He was just staring into the night. The goal of the boy did not surprise me. "You?" He did not respond. "I have come for an explanation, nephew. A mortal summoned me this night, but in her praising song of my life, she reminded me of the scorn that you have brought upon my head. I am here to find out why. What caused you to usher such tragedy to my door?" My nephew did not turn. He did not acknowledge that I had spoken, or was even there at all. This just angered me further. "After all I have done for the world, you give me but sorrow and pain, when I have done naught to deserve it. Need I remind you? Of those that are not mortals, Hestia swore to never marry. My first affection was crushed. The nymph Daphne, what a beauty! And you planted the arrow of hate that made her run. She would not love me because of you. Although I hold a piece of her, as you may remember, she was transformed into a laurel tree before my eyes. Cassandra and Sibylla both tricked and refused me. Marpessa chose a lowly mortal over me. Adonis, his affections were split with Aphrodite, and you sided with her. He died to a goring from a boar in her arms, all by your actions. Cyparissus, we hunted together often, a young priest so full of life, but when his stag died, he followed it. Why make me fall for doomed mortals that can never last, boy? Hyacinthus, oh, the sweet man that he was, and yet his affections were with Zephyrus too. You loved to watch me vie and fall, child. I loved him so deeply, yet he chose me in spite of you. But then the discus, my discus hit him. One accidental slip, and the last of my loves gone. I have had many loves, but so often they end, and I am left hollow and sunken. I feel it again, the hollowness of so much loss. I do not let it back in. I lean back into the anger and feel my fires rise from before. All my pain transformed into white-hot rage. And Eros has sat through all my accusations and not said a word, not even turned to face me. I march to him then and grab his shoulder. In an instant, I slammed his body from the balcony onto the stone floor behind. His skull landed with a crack, his wings crushed his body. But at last I saw his face, eyes empty and barren of expression. His visage was numb and neutral. But how? How could he have not heard me or felt anything? Why? I screamed in his face. It was then he crumbled. A child wolfed by a parent. Big tears fell from his eyes. Then a rage burst up. He pushed my shoulder, but I did not move. Then the love god's fist collided into my chest. I was thrown off him. Eros scrambled to his feet, his wings outspread and stretching as he stood up and bellowed. You come to me to demand why? Scream at me for all your pain. So easily you forget. Surrounded by your songs and cities, the god of the sun forgets who he burns. And your followers just sing your praises and blow smoke up your pretty backside. He forgets that long ago you hurt me, as you have done to so many. Let me remind you, some of your stories do not match the truth. Let me show you who you are. Daphne begged Gaia herself to be away from you. It is true, I shot the arrow that caused her to hate you. But she is not one of only one or two. Cassandra and Sibylla needed no arrow. Their tricks were all their own. But could you leave them be? Did you take their refusal with dignity? One is cursed to speak truth and watch it all come out anyway, as others call her mad. The other, she got her wish of longevity, though you added your own little trick. No youth. She lived for decades, and withered and suffered throughout. What of Medea, Ocyroa, and Bolina? The boar that killed Adonis was sent by your scheme with Ares. All who refused or ran from you, you caused their deaths. Did you not? But the end of your flower, Hyacinthus, was Zephyrus's wind's fault. He knocked the discus out of jealousy. Coronis was slain by your sister for the women's infidelity to you. Artemis's spite with that trick you pulled. challenging her to archery only to set Orion as a target. Orion the hunter, struck down by her own hand. None were by my power. And you say I am to blame for your ill luck in love? Tell me, how many children have you bore to mortal women? 10s or 100s? They were not failed conquests, yet you conveniently fail to make mention of any. Your patterns are your own design. Daphne, I will take blame for, but it was deserved. The first day my mother presented me to Zeus, you mocked me, belittled me before all. Eros the love god, why have arrows or a bow if you do not kill? What can you slay with love? What can love protect? Only those that are worthy should carry a bow. I have taken every blow and insult you have thrown at me, but I will tell you this. This is a power love can have. You are here, you are angry, you have suffered and stewed, eaten yourself alive from the inside out, but that is not all. My uncle, the great son that I looked up to, you never even gave me a second thought. You are blinded by your own light. You do not see the burns you make. Your anger makes you vicious and cruel. Need I remind you of Marsyas? Apollo looked at me with a confused, almost blank expression, so I continued. He was a satyr that found your sister's flute and then challenged you to a competition. But when he lost, you flayed him. Made him stand at a tree whilst you peeled the skin from him. Though I know you and your sister punish the wicked, you need not be so cruel. Now you know that love is a powerful force in this world, to transcend or descend the spirit. Think of what love inspires. Music and poetry, creation and beauty. Your own life and actions speak to it, uncle. The cypress tree born from your love of Cyprius, the flower hyacinth for Hyacinthus. I do this to show your power does not come from violence, fear, and death. Law and order do not all need to be so brutal. There is love in humanity, and there is love in us. You are the sun. Come down to earth once in a while. See that there is love here, too. For a moment, I just look at my nephew. I put my hand on his shoulder and brought him into a hug. There we stayed for a while. His tears had dried, and a small smile tugged at his mouth. Oh, nephew, I have been cruel to you. You're entirely love, and it is admirable. I'm the sun, and sometimes I burn too hot. In future, I shall be wary of my anger, or my fire from father. I should not have been so harsh with you. Ares and I can be blunt and too hard on you. I see now I should be a better guide for you, as my mother and grandmother were to me. As father is to me, I should be to you. Love and light are not so different, and the humans need us both. We have much more to discuss, but now there are duties to be done. I will be back. Get some good ambrosia, nephew. I shall need a strong drink upon my return. With that, Eros nodded, and I went back to my chariot. Across the clouds and lands I flew to meet Helios. Just in time, I stopped to hitch the sun onto the golden chariot. Delos sat in the seat beside me. Behind the reins, I signaled to the horses, and they took off. Dawn broke as we pulled the sun across the skies, and all that day I thought of Eunice and her song. And that very night I sent the inspiration required for her to finish said song. A way to blend the tragic love with all the good in it. A touch of sadness to make the sweet moments all the better. But stories of my siblings, my loves, my children, are all tales for another time. Living Mythology videos are brought to you by Voldemort and Lightbringer. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider liking and subscribing, or even sharing it as an offering to the great gods of the algorithm. If you wish to support the channel, then we have a Patreon link in the pinned comment, or do consider giving a one-off super thanks if we have indeed earned your bounty. Until next time, fare thee well, and dream amazing dreams.